In this video, we're going to look at creating the HTML for the page that we're working on. So in index.html, you'll see that there are a number of comments that I've made as to what goes in what position. I've also put some sample text in for us to work with. As you see, most of the stuff that we need is already there, and all we need to do is organize it. We've talked a number of times about how to organize our HTML to make it easiest to code it later or to style it later. And in this case, we need to, first off, look at adding what goes in the head section. First thing we're going to need in there are the styles. And the styles are in the root of the folder that I gave you, and they're called styles.css. So we're going to get those in there. Remember, I told you that we also needed this meta tag with the viewport meta tag, so you'll want to get that one in there. We need to put a title on the document. And we are going to, we need to put in our meta tags, which are not in there yet. The other thing we're going to put in is I want to do a different typeface than we have available. I want to do a Google font for that. We'll come back and put that in later as we talk about how to do that or go over it again. But for right now, I think that that's pretty much what we need in the head. I'm just going to leave that space up there, and let's leave ourselves a note that says we need to put in the Google fonts here. Okay. So in the body section, we first need to put in a header, and that header is going to have inside it basically the top navigation. Let's look back at the site that we're building. So the blue or the brown up in the top with J29 Designs and Contact, that's going to be the header, and the rest of it is, or the blue part here, is the main section of the first page. So let's get this out of the way for a minute. And I've given you some hints here. I said that we need the top bar with the links. That's what's going here. I'll need a class, nav topper, and an ID top. That's so that we can anchor back to it from places inside the page or on the page. Lots of times we have a link to go back to the top. So we need to add in, first off, let's work from the outside or the inside out. These two links are going to be in an unordered list. So let's go ahead and get that going. So I've got my unordered list. I am linking in the href to index.php, or I'm sorry, it should be HTML. So we're going to link to index.html, and the contact is an anchor link to the contact section, which will be lower down on the page. So this is all going to be in the header section. Now let me explain to you something here real quick. So on the other pages that we've done, we have had a wrapper and a content div that has enclosed the whole page. On this particular layout, when we're talking about stripes of color going all the way across, each one of these sections needs to have its own wrapper. So it's a little bit more code, but it also takes the same form for each of the sections. So as long as you learn it once, you'll be able to do it on each of the sections. So the way we're going to do that is where we have the header is our outside section. We're going to do a div in here with the class of wrapper. It's important that this is a class because we're going to use it several times on the page. And then inside the wrapper we always have a content div. Just scoot these over so we can. Oh, the way I did that, by the way, is I highlighted them all and I did Shift Tab and it took them backwards. So the header itself we need to put an ID on. And the class. Class is nav topper. I've given you that name right above there on line 14. We have the ID of top on it so that we'll go back up to the top when that happens. So this is your first section. That's the blue section. I'm sorry, it's the brown section, the header that goes on the top of the page.